And I guess we're live. Cool. All right. Hey, everyone. My name's Kevin. Welcome to the second ever OMG Town Hall. Here with us, we have Jeremy Lamb, our product lead, Robin Clark, our CTO, and David Knott, our research scientist. Jeremy, why don't you have things kick off?
Great. Thanks, Kevin. So, hi, everyone. In case you haven't heard, we've moved development from Honte to work on Plasma. The name of the milestone that we are working towards is now called Tetsuji. We'll talk about this a little bit later. The major factor for us in the decision to prioritize Plasma is to build liquidity and therefore market share earlier. We felt that this would be much easier to achieve if we had interoperability with Ether and ERC20 tokens. So one of the most important factors in the success of an exchange is liquidity. That is, we need to have a good amount of orders in the order books, not only in terms of number of orders, but depth of orders. And so in a market that does have good liquidity and you purchase tokens, the price of the token remains relatively stable after your order is executed. And so the first step in building transaction volume on an exchange is to list an asset that is in demand and also have a denominating asset that is widely available as a payment method. So with this in mind, we felt that an exchange based upon Plasma, where Ether and any ERC20 token would become available, would be much easier to build liquidity. To promote liquidity on a Tendermint blockchain, we were working with third parties to issue tokens or issue IOU tokens for ERC20 tokens. However, as you could imagine, a large number of token issuers and IOU issuers would potentially be required to have an order book that the community finds interesting to trade on. In addition to this, the number of participants in a Tendermint blockchain exchange may have been a little bit reduced because not everyone would have felt comfortable in trusting an IOU issuer with their ERC20 tokens. By releasing Plasma earlier and having support for Ether and all ERC20 tokens through interoperability from the start, we felt it would be much easier to build liquidity and market share. So I know you've been wondering about this, and although staking won't be available in the beginning, when staking is introduced, we feel that there will be supporting liquidity and supporting transaction volume that would support the case for all you token holders to stake your OMG tokens. The second major factor that influenced our decision to switch to Plasma is the safety of the funds on the OMG blockchain. Safety and security is really one of the major concerns in OmiseGO. So one thing that we'll see in the Plasma design that Robin will walk us through is that even if things go bad in the OMG blockchain, as long as people keep an eye out on their funds, you can safely fall back and withdraw your funds back to Ethereum. So coming back to the subject about liquidity, for liquidity to be formed on the Plasma chain, users really must first and foremost feel that their funds are safe to be able to deposit into the chain and therefore trade on it. In terms of progress, we already have a working design and we've commenced work on Tetsuji about 1 month ago. The design for the Plasma blockchain is currently undergoing review and will be released on our GitHub really shortly once review is complete. We are really looking forward to sharing details about Tetsuji Plasma and our updated roadmap in the coming weeks. So please keep an eye out on our official blog. And that's all I have to share for the moment. Robin will talk a little bit about the technical aspects about Plasma.
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Robin. So please, Kevin, can you fire the slides for me? Okay, thanks. So first, I want to have a deeper look at how exactly Plasma will work, what are the responsibilities of the different pieces we're building, and how they will all work together. So we'll also talk a little bit about how things will evolve over time. Second, I would like to take a moment to talk about staking, and a lot of things have been said about how it would work for stakers. And so even though the initial implementation of Plasma from OMG will not support staking, I thought it would still be interesting to review what we have researched already and what has been done about it so far, so that you all know where we currently stand today. Okay, so first, let's review together how OmiseGO interact with Ethereum and why Plasma is the best way forward. So with the advance in Plasma research, we saw that the possibility of launching a Plasma-based blockchain to production was becoming a lot more viable. So although the first version of the OmiseGO child chain will, using Plasma will have a limited set of features, it's to let us focus on what matters most. Then we'll progressively add the things that we need in order to achieve our goals of running a fully decentralized exchange network. So the OmiseGO node will observe Ethereum, and as funds are deposited into the Plasma root chain contract, new UTXO will be created on the OmiseGO network. You'll then be able to use those funds to send transfers, all that being done using the OMG client. However, in this step, we're trying to prove that we can deposit funds into a Plasma chain, transfer them around, finally exiting from OmiseGO safely back into Ethereum. These are really the primary goals for this milestone. And so the things that we're not focused on at this point are POS and peering, but we'll get back to that later. So in this first iteration, there will be a single OmiseGO node, of which the source code will be open source, of course, and it will be run by an operator. In this case, that will be us. And this is okay because we are always protected by Ethereum. What's important to note is that in this case, there isn't a single consensus mechanism. There's actually two. One, which isn't the best, but it's actually proof of federated, which will be ours. And the one given by Ethereum, which is extremely safe and gives you strong guarantees. So for example, if we do misbehave or the server is taken over by evil party, you'll be able to exit safely on Ethereum because you'll be able to prove your fund belongs to you by sending proofs that you own those funds, and nobody will be able to challenge you further, allowing you to withdraw your funds once the challenge period ends. Another way to imagine this is as a court system, and I think David has been talking about that in his previous presentation. So disputes are basically being settled by the Ethereum court, if you want. You bring evidence in form of proofs, and Ethereum will act as a Supreme Court that basically litigate the claim that the funds are yours, and you will then be able to get them back. Now, as we move forward, we still want to remove ourselves from the equation. So we'll eventually, our goal is to move towards decentralization and a proof of stake consensus mechanism. And so we will replace completely this operator with the validator set. The validator set will have their OMG token staked on Ethereum and in the staking contracts. And those will replace the operator into doing the work of validating transactions. So the work is basically creating blocks, signing them, publishing them back to Ethereum. Next slide, please. You will notice on the previous schema that there was two more pieces called the watcher and the challenger. The OmiseGO chain will only do the least amount of work as it needs to execute fast and won't, for example, expose convenience method like fetching all of the UTXO that belongs to a single account. So the watcher will be the first to ensure that the chain are in sync and one you otherwise, and that there isn't, for example, some block building going on, etc. The second role of the watcher is to give you convenience methods to make sense of the state in a more understandable way. So for example, the example I just gave, which is to make sense of who owns which UTXO, because the chain itself won't be able to know that. All it does is store the state. And finally, the challenger will be in charge of creating automatically exits and challenge in case the watcher has emitted some warnings that things are going sideways. And so this basically ends the current design of our Plasma Tsuji. As Jeremy has said before, we'll release that on our OmiseGO repo on GitHub. Now, staking. Oh, forgot one thing. So about nested child. This is basically oh, can you come back? Yeah, so the principle is basically the same. All we do is, instead of having a watcher that watch Ethereum and a child chain, you will have a watcher that watch both child chains with the challenger, and basically the whole principle remains exactly the same. Okay, now into staking. So fair warning, things may change suddenly. This is the state of things as of now, and the contract code is actually already open source as part of the Hunte open source release. It will work for Hunte as it stands, but it will need a little bit of adjustments to get with Plasma, and we may change entirely the design along the way if things change during the development. So be very careful with that. Okay, so let's get started with a little bit of vocabulary. So there is a couple of things to understand. It's first about the epoch. So an epoch is the amount of time during which validator will have the power to propose and validate new blocks. The epochs will most probably last about a month, so that validator not participating are weeded out quickly. But again, this decision has not been finalized yet, and we may extend this for a longer duration. Second is the join window, and I will touch back about that a little bit after. And the maturity margin, which is the amount of time before the start of a new epoch during which validator set for the next epoch becomes unjoinable. So during maturity margin, you cannot join, basically. The maturity margin is needed in order to give enough time for the child chain to synchronize with the latest block on Ethereum and wait for enough blocks to be mined to be certain that the validator set that the child chain has is the correct one. So in order to be a validator, you will need to first deposit into the OMG staking contract itself. Then, to finally become a validator, you have to call the join method to join the next epoch. Calling this method must be done before the maturity margin for the next epoch has been reached. If the maximum number of validators for the next epoch has not been reached yet, you will be added right away. However, if every spot has already been taken, your stake must be higher than the lowest stake currently present. Your presence in the set becomes final once the maturity margin has been reached and the validator has become locked. Note that once you have joined in the validator set, the only way of leaving it is to be ejected or to wait until the epoch for which you are a validator passes. In case you are the lowest staker, it's possible for you to be ejected from the validator set. This will happen only if someone else joins with a higher stake than yours and you are the lowest staker. If you wish to join again, you can just increase your stake by depositing more OMG into the staking contract and then call join again. Once you have acquired a spot, you'll become a validator for the next epoch only. At each epoch, you have to call the join method again in order to confirm you would like to remain in the validator in the next one. In case you wish not to continue as a validator, simply do nothing. And so this design decision was made in order to ensure that validators which becomes inactive simply need to do nothing to be ejected. This is basically a default opt-out. And validator who wish to remain needs to send some kind of heartbeat at every epoch to say, I want to continue. So now let's see in a more visual way what happens when you actually join. So this is basically a validator set with only 10 participants as an example. And the lowest staker is currently at spot number 1, at index number 1. And the index number 9 is currently empty. So once the participant tries to join, and here with 100, since there is already a spot that's free, it will be taken automatically and nobody will be ejected. But if someone else joins with a stake higher than the lowest stake currently present, then the spot number 1 in this case will be replaced by the newest staker. And so it will become a validator, and the previous one that was in the validator set will basically become ejected. And the final state of our validator sets remains. Okay, so this ends the staking and what we have so far. So like I said, things may still change in the future. And I will hand over to David to talk a little bit more about hard spoons.
Awesome, cool. So some of you may have read the blog post that was released on April 1st, also known as April Fools, talking about us hard spooning OMG onto Cosmos. Well, surprise, that's actually happening, and we're all super excited about it. So what does that actually mean? Well, all current OMG token holders, the current OMG token holders' balances on Ethereum will be copied onto Cosmos. So now they'll have Ethereum OMG and Cosmos OMG. From our side of things, we're still focusing on Plasma, and our Plasma implementation will use Ethereum as the root chain, and we'll use Ethereum OMG to secure the OMG network currently. So in that area, nothing has changed, but we're super excited that now Cosmos OMG can also be used for staking on the Cosmos network, because basically it allows for a lot of optionality and some healthy competition, because we're going to be basically continuing with our design and our plans for Plasma, but then Cosmos OMG will also be used for staking on a DEX on the Cosmos side of things. And although right now operability between blockchains is still being kind of worked out, and right now it hasn't been standardized yet, we're very optimistic about the opportunity for future collaboration between OMG or Ethereum OMG and Cosmos OMG. What's the difference between a hard spoon and a hard fork? Well, I would say the biggest difference is that in the case of a hard spoon, all parties are happy. So beforehand, Cosmos got on board, and clearly OMG is a fan of this. So we got together, we decided to collaborate, and now we're giving all current OMG holders 2 tokens, one on Ethereum and one on Cosmos, and we're super, super excited about the future for that. Yeah. And now I think it's time for some questions. Kevin?
Yeah, great. All right. Thanks to the community for asking a bunch of questions. I've gathered a bunch of them and kind of categorized them, and I kind of asked the panel. So regarding the wallet SDK, what has been some of the feedback from the wallet SDK beta testers? You guys are all muted right now.
Yeah. Sorry, I will take that. There has been a lot of very good feedback. So we have seen, for example, a lot of people on Reddit who have tried it will be able to install it quickly within like 1 hour and be running. The other people that we have had during the closed beta, and I can't name names right now, but one of the company that's been trying the SDK right now, we asked them how long it took them and if they had any problem during the implementation. They didn't ask a single question, and they did it in like a single day. They came back the next day and said, hey, it's working. So I think it's been really good.
Awesome.
I think there was some problem with documentation at first during the closed beta, where people were saying, okay, we don't know how to do this or to do this. Some people for who it was really smooth, and then for some others where they needed a little bit more, for us to help them. So I think we improved on that side a lot.
That's great. And then someone else asked, roughly how long do you anticipate between the open beta SDK and the final version?
I don't think we can say there will be always a final version at any point. There will be a lot of iterative version because we're still not ready with Plasma entirely. So we'll need time to connect it together. And so I think we'll have a 1.0 that will be without Plasma, and then a 2.0 that will be with Plasma, the first version, and the 3.0, 4.0, 5.0 quickly. So I think we'll go with something evergreen like that.
Yeah, software is always improving. Regarding the DEX, is there going to be an official front-end DEX for people to trade on, or is it just going to be a back-end DEX connecting different wallet applications?
And so there will be only a single backend and no front end at this point. And so if people want to integrate with it, they will have to do it. Our focus is not really on the front end DEX, but more on the backend DEX at this point. That may change in the future, but this is how it is right now.
Got it. Okay, so switching gears to staking, here's kind of 3 quick questions regarding staking. Roughly, and obviously with a caveat that all this is still subject to change. But roughly, kind of with current thinking, what is the maximum number of network validators?
Yeah, I can answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Robin's been doing a lot of the staking talk before, so I'm happy to jump in here. So to begin with, the rough number that we're looking at is in the hundreds, so perhaps around the 200 at the moment. This is something that will change in the future as we optimize designs, but that's what we're looking at currently.
Right. And also related, roughly how long is the staking period?
That's also obviously something that we've been thinking about a lot and is subject to change. I understand that the latest design has that period to be in about 1 month.
And someone else asked, since I've never had any experience with staking, could you please describe the governance process of participating in a staking pool?
Yes. So that's a really good question, actually. It's not something that we can really speak about for other people and for staking pools. So what's best to do here is to wait until staking pools do come out, and obviously we are working closely with staking pools and how staking would work, but the exact governance that would occur for each staking pool, that's something that stakers themselves would be best to communicate with these staking pools with. It may be different for different staking pools. Well, it most likely will be.
Yeah, I expect it to be kind of non-standardized, and that different staking pools will allow their users different amounts of controls, and will have different governance structures, and then it'll be kind of like a competitive market where people can choose the staking pool with the best kind of governance or reimbursement for them.
Makes sense. Next, we have a couple of Plasma questions. So if Plasma is going to be operational before staking is released, then how are the transactions that occur on the Plasma child chains going to be secured?
Okay, great question. So Plasma's one of the beautiful things about Plasma is that it actually relies on 2 consensus mechanisms. So you've got the child chain consensus mechanism and then the root chain consensus mechanism. And so initially, the child chain consensus will not be staking and will be run by an operator. But for like final settlement or arbitration, we'll be relying on Ethereum, which is decentralized. So yeah, the short answer is Ethereum to settle everything through a root chain smart contract that we're using to secure our Plasma child chain.
Yeah, makes sense. And regarding the hard spoon, can we expect the spoon tokens to be separately tradable and have an independent value?
Yes, you can. Yeah. So the hard spoon will occur based off Ethereum, OMG, ERC20 token holder balances, and will give everyone enough time to get their tokens to where they want them to be. But after that, there will be basically Ethereum OMG and Cosmos OMG, and they will be separately tradable and both have their own value.
And related to that, to receive my hard spoon tokens, where should I hold my tokens?
You should hold your tokens somewhere where you have the private key, because the same private key that you use to access your OMG on Ethereum or other tokens on Ethereum is the same private key that you will use to access the tokens that are your OMG tokens that are hard spooned onto Cosmos.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next question is, once the OMG network is fully operational, who will control it?
You will. So basically, it'll be a network, and there will be nodes running it. And so everyone will get to choose what software they're running. And through that, they will basically vote or have a voice in terms of what the OMG network actually is. And then in terms of like the day-to-day, once anyone decides to run a specific version of the OMG network, the child chain consensus mechanism will choose which transactions and blocks actually end up getting included in the child chain.
Cool, cool. And let's see. Another person asked, how does OMG plan on tokenizing fiat?
Another solid question. We don't. Our goal is to make it easy and smoother to convert fiat to crypto, but we won't be making our own crypto fiat. Instead, people will be able to go to various locations and give their fiat, and they will receive already existing crypto, such as Ether or OMG or anything else.
And who gets to decide the actual currency that they receive?
The user will get to decide. So I imagine it being the type of thing where you give fiat, you wherever you are has like a bunch of options that it supports, basically crypto that it's told that it can give you in exchange for the fiat, and then the user should be able to decide what crypto they're actually getting from those options.
Nice. Let's see. Someone else asked, which selling point seems to resonate most with customers, and what use cases have they expressed interest for?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in here. I've been speaking to customers a little bit recently. So the one thing that I think customers are really excited about is really the possibility of being able to accept any kind of currency, whether traditional fiat or a crypto-based currency, and receive that from anywhere in the world, across geographies, across cultures, across languages, and then of course really just receiving payment in the currency that they expect in, and having this open and available to everyone is something that's really exciting for customers. And when I talk to customers, the things that have come up most recently is obviously loyalty points. We've seen that a lot of interest around that, but also more recently around e-wallets themselves. So obviously, when we're talking about systems where applications can be used to pay for goods, then that's something that's come up a lot recently.
Awesome. The world is wide open. And then we could kind of just like to end with this question for everyone. What's the most exciting thing about working at OmiseGO?
I can kick that one off. I'm super excited to work for OmiseGO because I really believe in what we're doing. I think crypto is clearly kind of starting to get mainstream, but the people who it has the potential to affect the most are the people who have in the past kind of been screwed by traditional finance systems. And so kind of getting to work on technology that I think will kind of hopefully level the playing field, create frictionless payments, and change the world is super exciting. And then also the people who I'm doing it with also have those values. So it's really nice to work with in like a space with people who also want to change the world and who I feel like I have a lot of value alignment with.
Robin? Are you muted right now?
Yeah, sorry. What was the question?
Oh, what excites you most about working on OmiseGO?
Everything. No, it's really a great thing that we're trying to change finance really at its core, and how the whole financial industry works. It's really a matter of infrastructure and network, and I love working on those. Been working with Omise for 4 years now, and we were working on that already with credit cards and payments in general, but here it's even one level lower than that, and it's global and massive, and that's really exciting.
And Jeremy?
Yeah, I think I mirror those sentiments. Maybe just in a slightly different way, and I think it's the collision of both the cutting edge of technology, but also not forgetting about the human element here. So, like, there's actually real people at the end of technology that can get real benefit out of this technology, instead of thinking about technology of robots talking to other robots and increasing efficiencies. Like, we're talking about technology here that can make people's lives better.
I concur with everything everyone's just said. I look forward to the future where I can really kind of own my money, own my banking infrastructure, all via either my wallet application or my private key, and just kind of transact all over the world seamlessly. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We hope to do more of these in the future. Stay tuned to our Twitter, our Medium blog posts. Yeah, thanks for joining in. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kevin.